Well, I'm Doug Davis, and I am a former professor at Cal State University, Bakersfield, in the music program.
And you're still in the music program of sort.
True, I have also been helping out at Bakersfield College. I have many students who are out there, and these are my children, and I assist them in their endeavors.
Well, tell me about this composition. What's it called, and what was the inspiration for it?
Well, the symphony is playing this Saturday, the composition of mine called Dust Swirls, Then Speaks, A Journey to Hope. And it, of course, is inspired by Steinbeck's great Grapes of Wrath. And that's a book that tells the story of really an extraordinary moment in American history, because a lot of influences gathered to push so many people out of the heartland of America, and they just had to head out to find a better life.
How does one tell a story without words? I assume there are no words. There's no vocalists in this.
No, there are no words as such. When I read the story, things emerge in my mind musically. In this case, it was part of a celebration that was established at Cal State for the 75th anniversary of the publication of Grapes of Wrath. And they had a number of events. One of them was a performance by the Bakersfield Youth Symphony. And I was writing for that ensemble. And this is 10 years ago in 2014. And of course, I asked the conductor, Maxime Eshkenazi, where should I shine the spotlight on your young orchestra? And he mentioned a few special folks that he had in the orchestra. And so I had that in mind, but really, the first thing I did was think about the incredibly hard decision to leave everything you have, pack it up, and head out. And of course, the story goes, the depression happens, the drought happens over years, and then these dust storms started happening, and it just made life impossible. And so I begin with really the landscape of desolation, where there really doesn't seem to be a sensible way to continue. And so in the title, it's The Dust Swirls. So musically, it's sparse and quiet. And one of those spotlights was for a young harpist, so there's harp. And another was a flutist. And so the blast of wind in the flute. And those two are with each other, and the strings are just like plucking, making dry sounds. And as that comes to its conclusion, of course, the heavy decision has to be made to pack it up. So the next section leads to what is the beginning of the journey. And what a journey it was for so many Americans. In researching, it's like 40% of Oklahoma left. Over 2 million people.
So you can't use words, but you can summon up the same sort of emotions through the music that perhaps the people felt at the time they were going through this.
Right. I think the opening probably is so still with hopefully just enough color and interest, but it almost will make people uncomfortable because nothing seems to be pulling us forward the way music can, you know. It can grip us and yank us. And really, after that comes to a pause and the harp kind of disappears, there's two trumpets who intone this little interval. And the strings join, and then they move forward. And at that point, the tough decision is being made. And when that's over, this piece kind of romps into the journey. And so there are different qualities that are coming out in each section of the music. But the primary part of the music is after these two introductory sections, which I think the audience will be greatly relieved that suddenly we've begun. And there's much of this, you know, relates to things that are connected to me, probably from my youth. I had an idea, dee dum dum da dee dum dum da dee da dee dum dum da dee dum dum da dee da da. Wow, okay, that made a great jazz tune. It's a very complex tune that I had written earlier. But what if I just took that little nugget as like the engine running for the journey, and then let the other stars in the orchestra like sail above it. And so the brass instruments have their moment. And so that little ostinato, if you will, an idea that's just repeated over and over, has an underpinning. I mean, it has there's a lot of variety, of course. But at that point, I think there's an obsessive quality about returning to the need for this journey. And so it ends, I think, really just with the journey. There's no way to try to paint more than, that must have been a pause where I guess they're dreaming on the journey. But for the most part, this idea persists and it keeps the ensemble moving. And in the writing of it, I had moments of great joy myself, because the idea had many guises, and sort of by the end, there is almost a bit of fun that's part of this journey. And that's a point that I take home to the conclusion of the piece.
Now, if you were to do pick up with the sequel, I think it might involve something along the lines of how important the Dust Bowl was to this community even today.
Well, it would start with the birth of Merle Haggard and the Cohens, but certainly
Using a very different term at that point.
Yeah, well, certainly there were lots of gifts that people recognized when they made this journey. I mean, I know that when I made the journey west and, had pulling a U-Haul with my station wagon, and I came over the Tehachapi Mountains, and I knew this was like an enormous world of farmland. And then I saw an oil fields. These were somewhat new to me because I'm from Tennessee and had really never been to this part of the world. And I know that those people traveling, many of them saw this valley, said, time to stop.
You're running out of land. There was an ocean there. Tell me about the Earners and their connection to this whole thing.
Oh, the Earners family, of course, is an institution in our community and always big supporters of the symphony. And I think this is just completely marvelous that they made this initiative. As soon as I got the word in really April of last year that they were going to sponsor pieces by local composers, I sent out an email to every composer in the county and just said, if you've got a piece that's 10 minutes long and you should send it in. And if you don't have a piece that's that long, you should start one. Because I want this initiative to continue annually and keep supporting our local Kern County composers. As you well know, there's a lot of talent, a lot of musical talent in our area.
And it's kind of a nice little coincidence or irony or whatever it is that the aunt of one of our benefactors was sort of an activist when it came to the publication of the book back in 1939.
Well, I heard a little bit about this week, and it is extraordinary. And I had maybe forgotten or not really been aware that Grapes of Wrath had been banned. There's some controversy in it, I'm sure, but mostly a lot of great language. And but as I understand, she protests this ban on Grapes of Wrath that was initiated somewhere in the community. And how nice that she was. This is a young kid, I think.
16 years old.
16 years old? Yeah. Standing up for something she believed in, and also standing against something she knew was wrong.
Yeah. Well, anything else we need to know?
Well, you should always go to the symphony concerts. And really, they are doing such a wonderful job. They are our jewel musically in the community. And they are bringing in young people to these concerts, and they are growing that audience that we so need.
Well, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.